Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City of Oxnard Planning Commission for Thursday, November 2, 2023. The meeting will come to order at 6 p.m. The public may view the meeting from home on the city's website, Spectrum Channel 10, Frontier Channel 35, or on the city's YouTube website. To participate in the meeting, the public may provide comment to the Planning Commission via email at planning@oxnard.org no later than 3 p.m. on the day of the meeting or through the city's website at oxnard.org/city-meetings or call the Planning Division office. Additionally, those wishing to speak can dial the phone number listed at the bottom of the screen. Follow the instructions to access the meeting and press star 9 to raise your hand, indicating your intention to speak on the agenda item being discussed. Madam Secretary, can we please have the roll call?
Commissioner Connolly? Here. Commissioner Dr. Lopez?
Here.
Commissioner Nash?
Present.
Commissioner Seelsdorf?
Here.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart is absent. And I'm sorry, Chair Rejo?
Present.
Vice Chair Dr. Stewart is absent, and we have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We will now move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Connolly, will you kindly lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you, Commissioner Connolly. The next agenda item is C, public comments on items not on the agenda. At this time, a person may address the Planning Commission on matters within the jurisdiction of the Planning Commission, including information, consent items, and any time not appearing on the agenda. The Planning Commission cannot take action on any item presented during public comments that is not on the agenda, and such item may only be referred to the Commission Secretary. Persons wishing to speak on public hearing items should do so at the time of the public hearing. Madam Secretary, are there any public comments for items not on the agenda?
None.
Thank you. The next agenda item is D, consent agenda. With none listed, we will move to ex parte declarations for public hearing items. Please state any ex parte declarations, if any, and we'll move across the dais. Commissioner Connolly.
None, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Nash.
None, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Seelsdorf.
None, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, and none for myself. Thank you all. The next item on the agenda is Section F, public hearing. And first, F1, project name 131 East 7th Street property acquisition, planning and zoning permit number 23-625-04, general plan conformity determination located at 131 East 7th Street. A request that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution affirming that the City of Oxnard's acquisition of real property located at 131 East 7th Street is in conformance with the City of Oxnard 2030 general plan and recommending that the City Council acquire the property. The request is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15061B3 and 15378B5, requested by Emilio Ramirez, Housing Director, on behalf of City of Oxnard, City Staff Joe Pearson II. Does staff want to provide, per Measure M, a staff presentation has been pre-recorded and the link has been posted to YouTube. Does staff at this time want to provide a summary or additional analysis at this time?
Hello, Chair Orejo. Staff has no additional comments at this time. However, the Housing Director, Mr. Ramirez, is here as well if there are any questions or if he would like to make any comments on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. At this time, members of the Commission may ask questions of staff. Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, is there any public comment on this item before us?
None.
Thank you. The public hearing is now closed. We'll move on to deliberation. Planning Commission. Seeing no deliberation, a motion is in order. Commissioner Nash.
I move the recommended action.
It's moved by Commissioner Nash to find the acquisition of unimproved real property located at 131 East 7th Street exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15061B3 and 15378B5, and adopt Resolution 2023-XX affirming the City of Oxnard's acquisition of real property located at APN 201-0-272-040 is in conformance with the City of Oxnard 2030 General Plan and recommending that the City Council order the acquisition. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Any further deliberation on the motion before us? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Aye, thank you.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Sealsworth,
Aye.
Chair Orejo,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you. Our next item is F2, project name 418 West 4th Street Property Disposition, Planning and Zoning Permit number 23-625-05, General Plan Conformity Determination, located at 418 West 4th Street. A request that the Planning Commission adopt a resolution affirming that the City of Oxnard's disposition of real property located at 418 West 4th Street is in conformance with the City of Oxnard 2030 General Plan and recommending that the City Council dispose of the property. The request is exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15061B3 and 15378B5. Requested by Emilio Ramirez, Housing Director, on behalf of City of Oxnard, City Staff, Joe Pearson II. Per Measure M, a staff presentation has been pre-recorded and the link has been posted to YouTube. The staff want to provide summary or additional analysis at this time.
Again, Chair Rejo, staff has no additional comments at this time, but again, our Housing Director, Mr. Ramirez, is available for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. And now at this time, Planning Commission members may ask questions of staff. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
I just have a general question. The recommendation, or it's recommending that the City Council dispose of the property here. Could you, just for a point of information, tell us a little bit about that process and how the City Council disposes of property?
Me. Thank you, sir. Emilio Ramirez, Housing Director. That question is fairly involved. So I'm happy to give you the extensive details of it. But the disposition of property by a city has to comply with the Surplus Land Act. The Surplus Land Act requires that the council declare a surplus, it be made available to the preferred public buyers, it be made available to preferred affordable housing developers. It's set in the state HCD clearinghouse for 60 days, negotiate in good faith with all the potential buyers. It doesn't happen, goes back to council for an authorization to dispose, consider offers to dispose, and then come to this body for this action.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, is there any public comment on this item?
None.
Thank you very much. The public hearing is now closed. We'll move on to deliberation. Commission. With no deliberation, a motion is in order. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
I'd like to move the recommended action, please.
It has been moved by Commissioner Dr. Lopez to find the disposition of improved real property located at 418 West 4th Street exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Sections 15061B3 and Section 15378B5 and adopt Resolution 2023-XX affirming that the City of Oxnard's disposition of real property located at APN 202-0-085-190 is in conformance with the City of Oxnard 2030 General Plan and recommending that the City Council order the disposition. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Connolly. Any further deliberation on the motion? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have the roll call, please?
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Aye.
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Before I vote, I just would like to give a quick eulogy to the late, great Gold Wings Museum. My children went there. It was a wonderful community resource, and I'm sorry that we couldn't continue to keep it operating. So having said that, my vote is aye.
Commissioner Sealsworth,
Aye.
Chair Orejo,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you. Our next agenda item, F3, 5587 Saviors Road, Dia Enterprises Project, Planning and Zoning Permit number 22-500-02, Special Use Permit, located at 5587 Saviors Road, Oxnard, California. The applicant requests to construct a two-story, 4,455 square foot, 24-hour convenience store, no alcohol, with 2,755 square feet of ground floor retail and pavement area, and 1,700 square foot office area on the second floor. The project also includes a fuel canopy with 8 fuel stations, parking, trash enclosure, and related site improvements. The hours of operation for the project are proposed to be 24 hours per day, Monday through Sunday. The project is categorically exempt in accordance with Section 15303 pursuant to provisions of the CEQA guidelines filed by John Mueller, Worthy Architects, 1451 D. Rice Avenue, designated agent on behalf of Dia Enterprises, city staff, Brenna Wenger, AICP contract planner. Does staff want to provide summary or additional analysis at this time?
Good evening, members of the commission, honorable chair. Staff has no further comments at this time, but I just wanted to address that we did receive a few questions from the commission. In summary, we had questions about existing trees being removed and replaced with 13 trees. We had a question about a more detailed analysis of why section 15303 class 3 exemption was chosen. Due to the building size, it does qualify as a small commercial structure. So that was the most appropriate exemption at this time. And we had a question about the length of a permit, the permit's validity, and whether the commission would be able to condition a shorter length of time, considering that the property has had many extensions in the past. And then we also had a commission question regarding solar canopy, and I'll defer to Joe on that one. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Brenna. So yes, as Brenna mentioned, we also did receive a few questions regarding the ability to require solar as well as EV charging. So currently, the city's ordinance doesn't have anything that explicitly requires that. Many of these things are guided by the building code and energy codes. I did talk to our building official and our deputy building official about that, as well as discussed with the applicant team. So we did put together some condition language subject to the applicant's agreement that would require solar and require that EV charging be installed as applicable or as required by applicable regulations at the time of the building permit issuance. So I can read these and then look to the applicant team to provide input as well as to accept these. The first condition was a solar voltaic system shall be installed to the extent feasible, which complies with the California Energy Code and subject to compliance with Southern California Edison requirements. California Edison, as the local electric service provider, shall be consulted to ensure the PV system sizing will comply with the energy design rating targets. And then as it relates to the EV charging, the condition that would be added would be if required by applicable regulations at the time of building permit issuance, the applicant shall provide EV charging infrastructure and or charging stations. And again, those would be the two conditions that would be added to the special conditions under planning. And with that, the applicant is also available. They do not have a presentation, but if they have additional comments or they're available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Pearson. To the applicant, I know that Mr. Pearson just said you don't have a presentation, but you do have 10 minutes if you would like to make any comments at this time.
And also just add if you could speak to the conditions and if they're acceptable as well.
Mr. Chairman, I was just going to say good evening. I'm John Mueller. I'm the project architect with Mueller Worthy Architects. I've discussed the conditions with the applicant and they're fine as written. And I'm here to answer any questions about the project that you might have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mueller. At this time, members may ask questions of either the applicant or staff. Commission. So I'll start. Is there a particular reason? Usually, when I think of a convenience store, it's usually one story with alcohol. Is there any particular reason why you had it 2 stories without alcohol?
The without alcohol was at after discussion with the police department and Scott Swenson, and he said that the fire department wouldn't support an alcohol use in this location because of other alcohol-related facilities, sales facilities in the area. The client understood that and asked us to go forward on that behalf. The client is a family-run business, and they own multiple gas stations through this area and other parts of the state and other states. They're using the second story as, so to speak, a corporate office.
Okay, thank you very much. That's gonna be my second question, if the office was gonna be related or something that you would rent out.
No.
So, thank you for that.
It's used by the owner.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any others from the commission at this time? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, is there a public comment?
None.
Thank you very much. The public hearing is now closed. Are there any closing remarks from staff?
I have none at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to deliberation. Commission. Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair. I look at this project as being a real potential benefit for the community. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it will be the only gas station in this neighborhood bordered by Hueneme, Ventura, Pleasant Valley, and Saviors. So what I'm concerned about is how do we turn this into a maximum potential benefit for the neighborhood. And I was thinking that, well, you know, in the case of a natural disaster or a regional power outage, people still need gas and they still need water and food. And so that was my interest in having a condition requiring solar, because that would supply the ability to power the gas pumps and to maybe keep the refrigeration going, thereby allowing the neighborhood to access the products from this establishment even during a power outage. So I greatly appreciate staff coming forward with the 2 conditions, and I'm happy to support this project as it's presented. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Commissioner Dr. Lopez.
I was going to say, you know, I in reviewing the presentation that was prepared for this item, I always take to heart the public meetings of the public hearings, right? Did people show up? Oftentimes is the case that people don't show up to these public meetings despite it being posted and noticed. And so I definitely wanted to recognize the concerns by residents of Southwinds. I believe it was the Southwinds neighborhood in terms of the potential, crime or I forgot what the other 2 concerns were, but nonetheless, I was I was reassured by the conditions that were added in terms of lighting and cleaning the graffiti and making sure that the premises remains clean 24 hours. And so I too am in support of this project.
Thank you, Commissioner Dr. Lopez. Before we continue with any potential deliberation, Mr. Pearson, could I just ask you to restate the conditions of approval? When I restate the motion, if they get attached, I just want to make sure to get at least a good summary of it. Oh. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. I'll just read it again, just in case we want to refer to it during our deliberation. The first condition of approval, a photovoltaic system shall be installed to the extent feasible, which complies with the California Energy Code and subject to compliance with SCE requirements. California Edison, as the local electric service provider, shall be consulted to ensure that the PV system sizing will comply with the Energy Design Rating, EDR targets. Second condition of approval, if required by applicable regulations at the time of building permit issuance, the applicant shall provide EV charging infrastructure and/or charging stations. Is there any further deliberation at this time? Commissioner Nash.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to give a shout out to the project team for mailing out 1,100 notices. That's fantastic. I believe that's way beyond what you were required to do. So anytime I see that, it deserves special attention, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you, Commissioner Nash. Any others from the commission? If no others, a motion is in order at this time. Commissioner Connolly.
So moved with the additional 2 recommendations.
Thank you. It has been moved by Commissioner Connolly to find the project to be category exempt from environmental review pursuant to CEQA Guidelines Section 15303, new construction or conversion of small structures, and adopt Resolution 2023-XX approving planning and zoning permit number 22-500-02, special use permit subject to certain findings and conditions. And you said with the 2 conditions, correct? Thank you. And with the 2 conditions that I previously stated, is there a second?
Second from Nash.
Seconded from Commissioner Nash. Is there any further deliberation on this motion before us? Seeing and hearing none, Madam Secretary, can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Connolly,
Yes.
Commissioner Nash,
Aye.
Commissioner Dr. Lopez,
Aye.
Commissioner Sealsor,
Aye.
Chair Arejo,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you very much. Congratulations. The next section is study session reports. With no study session reports on the agenda, we'll move forward to Planning Commission business. Commission, is there any business to report? I will do a brief that the bylaws that were approved by the commission 2 years ago went to the committee. They were approved 2-0 with the staff recommendations in there. They'll be to be determined at a future city council meeting, likely in December-ish time period.
So it may be going to the second meeting in November, but we're working on finalizing that date, and I will update the commission once the date is finalized.
Okay, thank you for that clarification, correction, Mr. Pearson. And that's all from me at the moment. Is there any others at this time? Commissioner Connolly.
So just quickly, I don't have my notes in front of me, so hopefully I don't stumble over my words, but November is Native American History Month, and we also get to celebrate Veterans Day here in November. Historically, many Native Americans have shown up to be veterans and fought for this amazing country, so I just wanted to recognize both of those groups of people this month, so thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that reminder, Commissioner Connolly. Anyone else from the commission? Seeing and hearing none, we'll move on to community development staff update. Is there any update from the community development staff, Mr. Pearson, or, yeah?
So Chair Rehail and Commissioners, just update on, so our next meeting is on November 16th, and we have 2 items currently scheduled for that meeting, a subdivision and a new wireless facility. So those 2 are scheduled for that. With that, that's the only updates that I currently have. Thank you.
Thank you. And then to Ms. Roselle, is there any update, if any, that you wish to give in public in regards to items that came before the Planning Commission at previous meeting?
Yes, thank you, Chair. This afternoon, Fred Gaines, who's the attorney for the Mandelbaums, sent a letter to the Planning Commission seeking reconsideration of your 5-1 action on October 19th regarding their project at 1215 Capri Way. Mr. Gaines's letter makes a number of unfounded allegations regarding the process. I had previously responded to Mr. Gaines' unfounded allegations that he made to me in an email dated October 20th. My email response is dated October 24th. You have been provided with copies of both Mr. Gaines' email of November 20th and my extensive email response dated October 24th. I also provided you with a copy of a letter that I sent to Mr. Gaines on October 30th. This letter indicates that given that the Planning Commission declined to accept jurisdiction over this matter, the decision by the Planning Commission was deemed final as of that date, October 30th. And my letter indicates that the statute of limitation commences as of the date of the October 30th letter. As such, if the Mandelbaums wish to challenge your action of October 19th, they'll need to file a writ of mandate against the city, and the option for reconsideration by the Planning Commission is not available at this time, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roselle. I'd just like to ask in general, if we receive communication from any parties related to the item, is it recommended or required that we let staff know about those communications?
It would be requested. It's always good to know the kind of communications that you may receive. Just to be very clear, though, this email was not sent until almost 3 o'clock this afternoon, so this was a last-minute document drop. Normally, we don't provide these kind of responses to letters received, but as you know, our hearing on the 19th was over 3 hours long, was very contentious. And then after that, I've just explained some of the email exchanges that went back and forth. So there was a lot of letters and emails flying back and forth. And with this final drop by Mr. Gaines just before the meeting, it's important just to lay out for the record. The Mandelbaums and Mr. Gaines have clear knowledge of the city's position in this matter. It's a little unfortunate that he has raised these issues again, but it is clearly their right to do so. But in the end, the Planning Commission provided a very robust and fair public hearing. There were a lot of tough allegations made, and the city needed to respond with what we believe is the truth of the process and with the facts as well. So these kinds of hearings can be contentious, but in the end, it's important to make clear for the record that this Planning Commission is fair, unbiased, and follows the law. And any indication otherwise simply will not be tolerated. We need to lay the facts out loud and clear that Oxnard has a fair and just process for everything. So that's really important, and I feel very impassioned about this city and this Planning Commission. You work very hard, and any kind of implication that you're not following the process, I won't tolerate that. That's not acceptable. So thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Ms. Roselle, and sorry to belabor the point, because you did make the comment, I think, that there could be, there wasn't at this time a possibility of a rehearing, but there could be. I just wanted to ask that just in regards to making sure that our words and our actions are conducted as if there could be a Planning Commission hearing. So I just wanted to know your recommendation and then what we're legally required.
Well, here's the legal status. There's a lot of potential things that could happen, but at this point in time, as you know, the Mandelbaums, through their attorney, have requested have requested reconsideration of this matter on multiple times. With my letter of October 30th, I indicated that the Planning Commission's action was deemed final, and with that triggers the 60-day time period if they wish to sue to challenge it. Now, it is theoretically possible a number of months down the road, if litigation is filed, that this could be remanded back to you for reconsideration. We believe we have a strong case, but it's always hard to predict how the courts will rule. So, but at this point in time, it is final. And I have served them with the resolution, with the letter, with the determination sent to the Coastal Commission. So they have everything. They know the status of this case. They tried to get another bite of the apple, but our position is very clear at this point in time.
Thank you very much for that clarification and those details, Ms. Roselle. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. If there's no other questions for the commission, we will move to adjournment. And since there is no further business, the meeting will be adjourned if there is no objection. Seeing and hearing no objection, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all and good night.